there's a couple of different types. You can have the scare where someone jumps out and scares you. But I think what was good about that was when you seeing something in front of you that is shocking.
From a makeup perspective and special effects perspective, did you actually draw inspiration from any of the older movies? Because I almost felt that there was sort of a bit of a Tales from the Crypt sort of vibe to some of the characters. I mean, I don't know if that's just completely off the top of my head.
I wouldn't say consciously. One thing which probably we did take on board was, especially with the bleeding gags, we always like to do, and we call them the sort of Dick Smith taxi driver, Tom Savini on camera bleeding gags where something happens to a character. Either he gets shot or he gets punched or something happens to him and you don't cut away, you just sit on him and then he starts bleeding, which is because one of the things when we were talking about doing Riley self-harming his head, they were like, and you'll just dress blood in. And I said, well, why don't we have the blood spurting out of his head, like he's cracked his head open? And they were like, oh, can you do that? I'm like, yeah. We'll make it happen. We'll make him bleed on camera, which I always find, much more effective from a horror point of view. So, if anything, that's coming back to the sort of taxi driver sort of realism or the Godfather realism, where people or even scanners where that on-camera bleeding or transformation or a makeup effect that is happening in front of your eyes. It's not with blood, it's usually a bleeding gag. And we wanted to do a lot more, of course. Yeah, I think there was a good level of it on the film.
Yeah. And also, I mean, you've done a fair amount of horror movies now, and you're talking about some of the inspirations that sort of maybe subconsciously came through in the film. But as far as even from a makeup perspective, or maybe even beyond that, and also from an experience perspective, just watching a movie, what do you think are the ingredients for a good horror movie? In other words, what made Talk to Me such a cool horror movie, and what was it about the film, in your opinion, which is probably a difficult question to answer, that left people speaking about the movie? Because that's how I found out about the movie, is that through word of mouth. People were like, you've just got to go and watch this movie. So what do you think those essential ingredients are?
I think with that one, like even Halloween, all those is the scare factor and the shock. There's a couple of different types. You can have the scare where someone jumps out and scares you, but I think what was good about that was when you seeing something in front of you that is shocking, like when the guy, there's all these little elements that when they happen, people just go, oh.
Yeah.
Especially when probably Riley smashing his head is the biggest one. And then when you see him in hospital, like I remember when we saw the film with a crew / audience screening. So it was like a crew, but then they invited the public. So it was like a big full house at a art cinema up the road from us. And, when he was, and when he stuck his finger in his eye, which we didn't know how we were going to do that, but we worked that out. And people were just, freaking out. And then that scene ends, and then you see him in the hospital, and he's just like black and blue. You just heard the audience just gasp. Yeah,
Right.
There's all that going around the audience. And
what does that feel like sitting with an audience and they responding to your gags like that?
Yeah, well, I just laugh, really. because I'm looking at all the technical parts of it, and all the things that I would have done that a little bit different, and because I mean, if you want to get really technical, he probably wouldn't be that black and blue the next morning. But again, we wanted the audience to freak out. We wanted it to, and because we did have that little supernatural element of the film, we could have said, oh, well, half of that is Quain beating him up inside or something. We could have justified it. So if it was a guy in a bar fight, and it was just a contemporary drama, then he probably wouldn't be that
excessively.
Yeah, so it was just knowing when to push that little exaggeration button,
Right.
and to make it a little bit supernatural, but not take it out of being realistic.
So do you think there'll be a sequel?
Oh, there probably will be. I don't know when. They probably need to do it now, don't they?
They'll probably talk to you or talk to us or something like that. Yeah.
Talk to them.
Talk to them. There's a good one. Yeah. That would be good. Now, great movie, and I'm sure it's a movie that you must be very proud of, even in an illustrious filmography such as the one that you have. Talk to Me probably also stands out. Another film that I'd like to quickly talk to you about is the movie I, Frankenstein.